Every time a deck in any card game devotes itself to the mission of flooding the board with cheap cards, players refer to it as a zoo deck. There are only two requirements for this deck: cheap cards with high power and flooding the board. We usually use one-cost cards as our power generators because they are cheaper, and a guy is running around in a loincloth who helps them for some reason, Khazar. Also, another guy dressed in blue has an effect quite similar to Tarzan's look-alike Blue Marvel. Their ongoing effect improves with the number of cards you have on board, since Khazar and Blue Marvel are quite expensive, usually costing our entire energy reserves for our turns 4 and 5. We need to use them with our 1-drops to get our wins. Cards like Ant-Man, Squirrel Girl, Korg and Iceman can be used as perfect one-cost cards. Move decks are one of the main deck types in Marvel Snap, and they use a solid, albeit slightly chaotic game plan to win matches. These decks can be built as early as Pool 1, making them a great choice for beginners. But they become much more complex as more cards are earned. The main goal of this deck is to buff your cards that can move, then move them. Cards like Multiple Man, Vision and Vulture are perfect cards to be moved around, whereas cards like Heimdall, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, etc. can be used to move them around the board. Destroy is a deck that can produce big numbers, but it also provides flexibility and can interact with many locations in ways other decks can't. It is like solving a puzzle. It also has just enough randomness to keep it varied without being frustrating. Ideally, this deck wants to get Deadpool out early, buff him, destroy him many times while feeding him into Venom, and then finish with Knull and a free death for a big burst of power on turn 6. Alternatively, Zola into Venom with Wolverine in play has potential too. Zola gives you some options and play lines that can catch your opponent off guard. Sometimes, even the ability to move your big Venom or Deadpool to another lane can produce a win. The on-reveal effect type is a staple in Marvel Snap, so this deck type can be built as early as Pool 1. The term on reveal refers to cards that activate their effects once, as soon as they're flipped face-up on the board. Scorpion, Ironheart, Wolfsbane, and White Tiger are organic on-reveal cards. Paired with Odin, who can give another turn 6 boost by triggering those on-reveal effects again, these decks are unstoppable. Naturally, the biggest weakness for an on-reveal deck is Cosmo, an ongoing card that prevents on-reveal effects from activating in its lane. The main aim of Control Deck is usually to deny the opponent's win condition, thereby winning the game for us. The deck is full of counters to almost every deck, while it can be difficult for them to do the same back to you. Sira can reduce the costs of all cards in your hand, making the deck even more powerful. Despite being not a high-powered deck, Control focuses on utility, trickery, and outmaneuvering your opponent for the win. There are two major discard payoffs that most discard decks build toward. Decks usually go one of two ways. They build a giant Apocalypse, usually to discard it with Dracula, or they discard with the goal of bringing cards back with Gila. Blade, Corvus Glaive, Moon Knight, Hellcow, etc. can be used as discarders, whereas big boys like Magneto, Giganto, Doctor Doom, and Infinaut can be used as their targets. The ideal play is to use Gila to bring back these huge cards at the end of the game. Discard decks always occupy their position in the metagame and is one of the best archetypes in Marvel Snap.